Nick Sirianni needs to reset his message. Now, what do I mean? Entering the season, it was all about you're no longer the champion. We are not going to even watch the banner when the Cowboys come to town at the link to open up the NFL schedule. Ay, ay, ay. I don't like that. I want them to lean into being the champion. You know what it takes, and that matters. Don't run away from that. It's a strength. It's valuable. It's something you have that some of these other teams don't have. You're 6-2. The bye week is over. The backstretch is here. You're going on the road against Green Bay. You got a game against the Lions. You see some very interesting opponents coming up. I want Nick Sirianni to reset the message and tell the entire locker room, you are unbelievable. You have a championship for a reason, and lean into it. There's a reason why you were so dangerous in Super Bowl 59. It's because you used that heartbreak from Super Bowl 57. You went back, you saw what happened, and you used that information and knowledge to make you what you were in Super Bowl 59. Well, damn it. Use what you learned in 59 to go out and win Super Bowl 60. 215-592-9494. This is the question I have for you. Let's do this exercise together. I'm putting you in the shoes of Nick Sirianni. You are the head coach. You either get to reset the message or you double down with what Nick Sirianni has praised since training camp, which is we're hungry and we're starving for a title. The past is the past. This is a new unit. Go out and prove to the 2025 NFL League you can be a champion this year. Forget the past. Prove you can do it this year. Would you rather take that path if you get to look at every single one of those players in the eyes and you get to look at them after a hard week of practice and after a big bye week and the whole thing, a 6-2 start, an NFC number 1 seed right now, currently at the top of the standings, all that being true, you get to address your men standing at the podium in front of that big auditorium with the seats and they're in their room. You got your little PowerPoint presentation. You put film on, whatever you want to do. Which way are you starting this message? We're no longer champions and we got to prove it? Or you know what you're capable of. You know how hard and difficult it is, but you understand because you've already accomplished that rare goal. And because you accomplished it, you can do it again because you know how to do it. Because not a damn soul scares me in the NFC. And I want them to go out and grab it and snag it from everybody else. The Rams, stop it. The Buccaneers, please. 215-592-9494. Okay, I want you to listen to Jordan Mailata. In the beginning of the year, when they were getting ready to start this campaign, he shared a story of what Nick Sirianni was praising to the team. This is what he had to say.
Visual representation of a car steering wheel, what we can see ahead, and then in the rearview mirror, it was the Super Bowl. Yeah, it was just something that, visually you could see and kind of relate and understand.
I don't want the rear view mirror. I don't want that. I think that's running away from something that is extremely important to how this can change this back stretch. I want it to be into the bone marrow. I want it to be injected into your bloodstream that you are a Super Bowl champion. I want that confidence, that arrogance, that cockiness to carry you into what is going to be an awesome pursuit and an awesome chance to go back to back. I want you to go, you can't touch the Philadelphia Eagles, because we are by far 50,000 steps ahead of the pack. And you can't do a damn thing about it. So, truth be told, I want Nick Sirianni to reset the message. And think of it like this. It's almost like, and actually, Luke, I didn't even ask you for the Analogies music, so I'm terrible at my job. But we will analogize. So we have a music bed here on the airwaves when we do this. Thank you very much. That's my fault. Should have prepared the show. I was all fired up. It's like a teacher revising the syllabus mid-semester. You realize some of the things that you planned out in the summer before the first semester started was off base. So you say, all right, students, go to page 7, cross this out, write this in. We'll change the date on when this is due. You got to adjust on the fly. I'm asking for Nick Sirianni to reset his message here on the fly. How about this one? You're a photographer. You're trying to get some beautiful shots of scenery. Some mountains, some trees. Gotta change the lens. Gotta change the lens. It changes the perspective. I think Nick Sirianni, after that bye, it wouldn't be a bad idea to change the lens. Thank you very much, Luke. Good job. All right, so 215-592-9494. If you do want to hop on board, you are the head coach. You are Nick Sirianni. You either get to take the path that I just laid out, which is look at the hardware. Look at the Lombardi trophy. I want you to marinate in it. I want you to bathe in it. I want you to know that that's part of who you are, and don't run away from it. Make that a part of your strength. You have something that all these other teams chasing the Lombardi don't have. You have it. Use that to your advantage. We talk about advantages all the time in football. Oh, you can do this with matchups, and you can do that in matchups. Well, psychologically, come on, here's an advantage. You've already answered the test. You've already aced the test. What are we doing here? Would you rather go down that lane or double down with what Nick has been preaching, which is the past is the past, but this is a new story. We're on a completely different chapter. Last year we had pieces that we no longer have now. We lost Josh Sweat. We lost Milton Williams. We lost some of these talented players in free agency. Isaiah Rodgers left. Slay left. It's a whole new, unique personality of a team. And that's okay. But we can still prove to the world that we're capable of winning a championship. Do you like that? It feels a little less, I don't want to say arrogant, but in a way, it feels less arrogant. And I want to go in with the same way all these all-time greats go in. I'm winning, and there's nothing you can do about it. How do I know I'm winning? Because I've accomplished the goal. I know the standard. I know how it gets done, and nobody's stopping me from duplicating that success. Yes, there's something about snarl and grit and that intensity. Luke Nichols is producing tonight's fine program. Luke, how do you feel about this? If you were Nick Sirianni, which path would you take when looking at your 53 men in the eyes?
I think you got to switch it up. I think you have to kind of say, hey, listen, we won the Super Bowl last year. You should be hungry to get another one. Also because these teams are looking at you as the champs. You're going to get everyone's best shot. You need to welcome it. Don't need to put it in the past that you're the Super Bowl champions. No, don't forget about it. You need to welcome it. You need to embrace it because that's what all of these teams are looking at the Eagles as, the Super Bowl champs, especially in these next two games. If there's any time to switch it up and say, hey, listen, we need to embrace it. You have the Green Bay Packers, who you stomped in the first round of the playoffs last year, who are going to be mad because the whole tush-push thing, too, and that's in Lambeau. And then Sunday night next week, you're playing the Detroit Lions, who kind of had a 2017 Saints vibe to them, to where they're thinking, hey, if we didn't lose to the Commanders, we would have went into Philly, or Philly would have had to come here, and then we'd be in the Super Bowl, and we would have won the Super Bowl. So they probably think they were the better team last year. So they're looking at you as a big-time challenge, even with their rough season that they've had. They're going to get up for that game in Philly. It's going to be a huge game. And also, how long can you run with the same message that you preached before the season? I mean, we're in mid-November, about to be in mid-November. Can you really just say the same exact thing of, hey, don't think about last year, we're on to this year? Can you really say that up until November? No, you got to change it up at some point, and now I think is the time to do it. You have the toughest stretch of your schedule coming up, I think, where you have, I mentioned the two games, then after the Detroit game, you have the Cowboys, then the Bears are actually playing well, and then the Chargers back on Monday Night Football. This is a really tough stretch of games where all these teams, maybe not the Cowboys, but 4 out of 5 of these teams are trying to make the playoffs, and they're looking at you as the big dog, as the champs, trying to take you down. So you need to embrace it. You need to say, yeah, you know what? We are the champs, and we're going to show you why.
Absolutely. No, I love the fact that you brought up what's coming up here, because I always focus just on after the bye, here's Green Bay. After that, you got a home game against the Lions on Sunday Night Football, but you continue to go down that list of what's upcoming, and there is a nice barrage of good teams. Now, I always feel that others take it way too far, and they get so nervous forgetting how great the Eagles are, because the Eagles are going to do a lot of damage against these teams. But when you allow yourself to digest the fact that you are amazing at what you do, there is a different level of arrogance that soaks into the NovaCare complex walls. And when you see these teams coming for your neck, because when they beat you, like you saw with the Denver Broncos, it's their Super Bowl in a way, because it tells them something about themselves. They walk into these games versus you, and if they come out victorious, it defines their season. It goes down as a highlighted game where they reflect back. See what we did here? See what we did in that game against the Eagles at the Link? That becomes their standard and their bar because you are so excellent. I want you to breathe that energy. I want you to take that and be forceful with it every second, every chance you get to when you get out there on that football field. And I think that's the way to go here. 215-592-9494. We're opening up the phone lines. Would love to get your thoughts on this. Nick Sirianni needs to reset the message. That's how I feel heading into this second half. I can't wait for Monday. I can't wait to see them take the field after what they've been building on the offensive side over the last few weeks. But I would love for Nick to kind of to lead with more snarl, leaning into the fact that they are champions. Let's start things off with Nick in Hillsborough. What's going on, Nick?
Brodes, happy Friday, bud. How you doing?
Happy Friday. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm okay. Can't complain. So I'll tell you, like I told Uncle Luke over there, I'm a recent divorcee, right? And I look at that as what you're, putting out here now with, kind of the two lanes. So my marriage is over, right? It's done. But moving forward, I've learned a lot, and I'm going to apply that moving forward. All right, so bringing it back to football, last season is last season, but there's a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge that he acquired as well that he can and will apply moving forward. That was priceless. You got a lot of franchises chasing down what we already have, and I think he uses that like a blend. Yes, it's over with, but he already walked in those shoes already, so he knows how to apply that to this year's team to help get the best out of them.
No, absolutely. And I think that there's something about that, even in any way, shape, or form. I know a couple of friends that had long-term relationships. They end up breaking up after 5 years. Now they're in a different relationship, and they talk about some of the things that they embraced and learned and went through and, had some ups and downs within those relationships. But that's what helped create what is a special relationship with this other woman currently. And, yeah, I think that that's actually a really interesting perspective on it, where you can take a lot out of that and apply it to your mentality moving forward. You don't forget. I don't want you to forget. Forgetting would be bad. That would be silly. Don't forget that you are Super Bowl champions. I want you to literally live it in a way.
Yeah. No, listen, sports and real life, they mirror each other pretty much. So, yeah, you apply what you've learned in the past and you apply it moving forward. Makes you a better team, makes you a better person, a better man, whatever it might be. So that's why I say I think his messaging from now moving forward, they walked this path last year starting 2-2. Look how the year went. This year, we're not elite at anything. We've looked at trash at times, but we got new pieces coming and fresh off the bye, I want to see what we do moving forward.
Awesome. Nick, thank you so much for taking the time to call in. I really appreciate it. The not elite at anything, though. I was listening to Spike and Elliott go at it earlier today. They are elite at two things. They are elite at two things. They are elite in the red zone, and they are elite at not turning the ball over. And you can make the argument that if you are elite in those two areas, you are winning a lot of football games. It's not about making the argument. It's just statistically true. If you are elite in the red zone and you're putting up touchdowns instead of field goals or turnovers on downs, you're scoring. And if you're not turning the ball over, then you're not putting your defense in bad positions, and you're obviously doing a lot of good things with your own offense. You are elite at some things. But this second half, after what we saw against the Giants, which was their best game together as a unit, with what we saw against the Vikings, and with what we saw against a lot of these teams where you saw windows and pockets of the passing game look better. It wasn't a great full four-quarter effort, but there were sequences where you could see things were starting to align. Well, it seems to fully kind of not yet fully come. You could have seen the signs telling you that it was syncing up. It wasn't fully synced up yet, but week after week after week, you saw it aligning in some way, shape, or form. And now that we're in a more comfortable spot where there seems to be a direction, there seems to be stability, there seems to be structure in what they're trying, because there wasn't early on. It looked chaotic, it looked elementary, and it looked disgusting. But you put Jalen under center, you get more in the run game going, you get Fred Johnson out there, you get 6 big men up front, you do a little bit better in the blocking department, you got AJ and Smitty going. Now there's stability and there's more of an identity being created. Since we are here now, it falls on the head coach's shoulders, Nick Sirianni, to reset the message, and now it's time to blast this message all throughout the NovaCare complex with all the speakers, surround sound, any hallway, any bathroom you're in, I don't care. I want it replayed over and over and over again that you are the champs. You are the champs, and nobody is going to take you down. You have the power, you have the skill, you have the determination, you have the greatness, you have everything to do it. You've shown it. Go do it again. Use that knowledge to your advantage. And in a way, I think that this could even help Kevin Patullo if there was that switch. I want it to be a bit aggressive for someone like Kevin Patullo. And I did a show about KP a few weeks back saying I was wrong about him. I thought he was a legitimate bum who was lost and everything was moving way too fast for him, where he was sinking on the sidelines, because that's how inept everything looked. I would have never thought in a billion years by the bye week, before we even get to Green Bay, that I'm actually seeing things that intrigue me. So credit to him for turning around rather quickly, a lot quicker than I ever thought. But I want to test him too. Part of this is me trying to test the offensive coordinator to see if he could swim when there's this type of hostility and pressure and sort of, like balls with this team's personality. I want that. I want it to be nasty. I feel I relate to that more. I want it to be filled with this, you know what I'm saying, Luke? I want to be like, we're going to kick your ass.
Yeah, you want a little edge to the team.
Yes.
You don't want them to be like, you want them to be like, yeah, we're the champs. What are you going to do about it?
Exactly.
Are you going to bring us down? No, you're not. Here's why.
That's
Saquon
right.
Barkley in your face, Devontae Smith in your face, giant offensive line in your face. That would be a nice. Now, we don't need to go overboard and have like a Jalen Carter getting ejected from the game kind of an edge.
No.
But we got to tiptoe the line of how much of an edge we need to have.
I agree. All right, so this is where we get started on this Friday evening. 215-592-9494. I'm getting all fired up. And maybe I should cool the jets a little bit and relax, take a couple deep breaths. You know what? Okay. We'll do it together. That's all.
That was good.
Thank you. I am putting you, the callers, the listeners, in the shoes of one Nick Sirianni. You are a head coach of an NFL football team. Not only are you a head coach of an NFL football team, you're the head coach of the Eagles. You're the head coach of the Eagles with a Super Bowl caliber roster. And you get to decide at 6-2, at the top of the NFC, you can either tell the entire team everything that occurred last season is in the past. That's not who you are anymore. You need to rebuild your brand and go out there and show the world that you are capable of doing it in 25. Or would you go my direction, which would to lean into your past, lean into your resume? Because I think that there's a fear factor when you do that. The reason you looked at Tom Brady is because you knew what he did all throughout his career. He would win. The knowledge of his career and his past is what scared you every time you faced him. There's a reason why when it's a 7-point game with 1:10 to go, you're afraid that you scored too quickly. Because when you look through the rear view mirror, Tom Brady has 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different drives to prove to you that he has the excellence to go dominate and win that damn football game. I want the team, and Nick Sirianni specifically, to look at the rearview mirror to remind this locker room of what they're capable of and to use that as motivation because there's proof behind it. There's no debate on can we, it's we can. And I want that to be their mentality. 215-592-9494. That's where we get started. How would you address the team if you are Nick Sirianni? Your phone call is coming up next. A couple of open lines. Would love to hear from you. 215-592-9494. So your call is coming up next. And how did A.J. Brown feel about the trade rumors at the deadline? You will hear from wide receiver 1. It's Brodes, it's you. It's 94 WIP. Okay, so this is where we are for this Friday. It's a shame the Eagles don't play on Sunday. I'm like everybody else. I am drooling on my pillow at night just thinking about this team taking the field. I want to see QB1 out there. I am so desperate for football. I want to see him go on the road, dominate, look so great, smile at everybody afterwards, and then watch the Jalen Hurts haters cry. That's what I want. But unfortunately, we have to wait an extra day because it's on Monday Night Football. So, what I'm asking you, as I look ahead, I see a second half that is so crucial to set the tone as the team in the NFC. As the Super Bowl contender in all of the NFL. The target is on your back. That's the message you could send by plowing through these teams like Green Bay, like Detroit, like anybody else. Chicago on Black Friday. And when you do that, there's something about the arrogance that comes with it that I'm looking for. And all year long, Nick Sirianni has played the card saying, last year was last year. Forget about it. Put it in the paper shredder. Put it in the trash. Recycle it. And it's gone. Wash your hands. It's over. It's a new season. I hate that. I hate it. To the point where I believe Nick Sirianni needs to actually reset the message to his team. And I want him to lean into being a champion. And I want to know, if you were the head coach, 215-592-9494, would you double down on your approach all year? Because I got this tweet during the break. And this individual says, if you preach something for so long, isn't there value in staying with said plan? A steady hand? You're not wavering? It shows that to your core, you really do believe what you're saying instead of being flip-floppy. In a way, it almost feels to me, this person is implying that you could lose the room if 8 or 9 weeks you zig a little bit when they're expecting you to zag after a bye week. But here's my rebuttal to that. Last season, at 2-2, you could have easily doubled down on some of your beliefs that you wanted to do with this offense before that bye week, week 5. You could have. You could have said, no. I'm stubborn. This is what I want to do. This is how I want my offense to look. And I'm going to make it happen any way, shape, or form. But instead, Nick Sirianni zigged instead of zagged. The offensive lineman spoke to him, and he was willing to adjust. He was willing on the fly to go in a different direction. And he decided that it would be in everybody's best interest to shift, hand the ball off to Saquon a bunch, be a super run-heavy team, and I'm sure there was a different concept, a different offensive game plan, and a different identity that they were trying to build through weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4 with Kellen Moore. Throughout the entire offseason, throughout training camp, they were trying to install something completely different, and then they realized we have to change. Week 5. It's time for Nick to realize right now he's got to change. I want him to change. I want him to be more aggressive with the message. I want him to know that there is a massive advantage. Do not forget where you came from. That type of attitude. In a way, look at VJ Edgecombe, for example. When you hear VJ Edgecombe speak, it's all about the motivation from where he once was in life. And that now has pushed him to where he is now with his greatness. You can't forget the past. The past is very important for your future. I sound like Jalen right now. Let's go to John in Bucks County. What's up, John?
Hey, how are you?
What's going on?
Not much. I was just making a point. What I thought or interpreted Nick Sirianni's message to be was not about the Super Bowl itself. It was more about he wants them to remember the path, the journey, and everything and all that, but to forget the actual trophy that comes with it. Like, it's great in the moment. Celebrate it. Live it. Amazing feeling. Remember that feeling. Remember the path that you took, but it's in your rearview mirror now, literally. So there's nothing you can do to otherwise defer a message.
Right. Okay, so you're saying when you look, if you're driving the car and you look in the rearview mirror, you still see what's back there. It's just not ahead of you anymore. But seeing it is almost equivalent in an analogy to still understanding it's there and you don't forget it because you still can visualize it, but you do have to move past. Is that kind of what you're trying to sell me?
Yeah, you remember it. You see it. Yeah, it's actively there.
Okay. All right. Now, moving forward, John, let me ask you. You are now the head coach. Do you think it's okay to maybe, put your car in reverse and then maybe get yourself closer to that trophy instead of it being in the rearview mirror? Or do you still want them to continue to pursue with this same message? Because in a world, you can put your car in reverse and get closer to that trophy to remember that feeling now that we're midway through the season.
Yeah, but if you go too far, you might hit the trophy.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. Now we're running over the Lombardi?
Hey, you never know. If you want to get closer, get a feel of how it truly feels to be in that journey and in that hunt again, I agree. Maybe you do need to recultivate the message, but I still think that the original message is very crucial.
Okay. All right, John. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the phone call. Oh, no. Now we're putting the car in reverse, and you hear the... and you get that look. You go, oh, no, what did I hit? What did I hit? Hoping it was just a trash can. It's the hardware, man. Oh, no. Well, just don't run it over. Nowadays, with these cars, you got the
all the sensors,
the camera, the it's going to beep at you.
Yeah, it's yelling at you if you get too close.
Come on. All right, Edward, you are on WIP. What's up, Edward?
Hey.
Hey.
Is this me?
This is you.
Hey, didn't mean to puck it up. Get it? I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, that's good. That's good. We like comedy.
Guess what? I'm kind of nervous. First time caller.
No, well, thank you. No, it's me and you, Edward. We're hanging out and we're just talking sports.
What I think Sirianni mostly meant, and I think we're taking too much, about what he meant, is it's just don't get too comfortable with the idea that trophy's there. The rearview mirror thing makes sense because if it's, like you said, in the passenger seat, you get a little too comfortable. You start talking to it, then you're comfortable. You're just cruising around. If it's in the rear view, it's following you, and you're there. You got that, but you can't get too comfortable because this year is just as important or more. And I'm not even worried about Green Bay or the NFC at all, really. I'm worried about a couple teams in the AFC. But I want to also your thoughts on that before I.
No, yeah. So I agree with you on the NFC thing, and not really a team scaring me. But how about that? Let's meet in the middle. So if the rear view mirror, if we're going to use that, if let's say the Super Bowl trophy's in the car behind you and you're watching through the rear view mirror, and I went to the extreme of he's in the passenger seat. What if we had a pickup truck with a hitch on it, and the Super Bowl trophy's is on the hitch?
Well, look, it's either way. I think you're taking too much out of the fact that he's just saying don't get too comfortable. You want a World Series or you want a World Championship. Concentrate on this one. We want to win another one, and that's what he's a winner, man.
Okay,
he's gonna.
All right, that's fair. And my point too, Edward, was I don't think his path is a bad one by any means. It's just I think at some point you can shift to really embracing that you have that DNA. But I don't blame him for taking this path. It's not like a egregious move by him or anything.
Right. I see 10 years from now, we're still going to be talking about Sirianni, man. And maybe not as an Eagle, but I think he will be. And it's just going to be we got a dynasty starting. And there could be some cracks right now, but they're figuring out how to win ball games. And that's what the NFC, and there's been some upsets that the AFC is also going to be affected. We're in a great position here. And if I could say something about the Phillies real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that Harper's not going anywhere. And by the way, I think we're making too much. And nobody mentions Duran blowing the save, man. 6 outs.
He walked Mookie Betts. I know.
Kirkering wouldn't even have been in that position had Duran did his job. And he blew a couple key saves going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So we all thought he was going to be, the kingdom come and all, but he blew that save, and Kirkering wouldn't have been in that situation to make the bad move, throwing home. Had that not happened, but nobody mentions Duran, man.
It is funny. It does. And Edward, thank you so much, man. Don't be a stranger. I would love to hear from you again. You did great. You didn't sound nervous at all. But you're right. He walked Mookie Betts. Everyone's mad at Thompson for walking Ohtani, which I wasn't. I understood it. But we just skip over the huge detail that he walked Mookie. Don't get me started on baseball.